We made it to Wabasha. We are going to see where the Midland Depot was. I think I know where it was. This is downtown Wabasha. Look at all the old buildings. This town goes back beyond the Civil War. Over to the left across the street, see the eagle on that building? That's that National Eagle Sanctuary right there. I don't know if you've ever been in that place, but I have, and it's awesome. You should come down here and walk through that place, especially when they feed the eagles. Really cool. So I'm gonna find a place to park, and then we'll take it from there. Aren't these awesome buildings? 1880s, 1884. You know I'm into all these old buildings and everything. So the Midland, the Minnesota Midland, that's what we're following a little bit today. And that goes back to 1876. That's when they first came about. And I'm going to put up an article, and I got my note page again. The Enabling Act. Have you ever heard of an Enabling Act? So that's enabling the Minnesota Midland to do their route, put in their railroad, and go from point A to point B. So I found a copy of that in the Lake City Leader, February 26, 1876. So I think I'm going to start off right away, and I'll put up a map of where we're at, where I'm sitting right now, as a matter of fact. And then we'll take it from there. I'm going to put up, right after the map, I'm going to put up this article of the Enabling Act. And I broke it down. I had to break it down into several parts. So there's like 5 or 6 parts to this act. So you can stop the video if you have a phone or something you're watching on. You can make it bigger or smaller. And you can read this whole act if you want to. So I'm going to put that up now. Okay, so now we know it's enabled. Yeah, but we still need somebody to build the railroad, right? So I'm going to put up another ad right now. This one comes from the Record and Union newspaper. I've never even heard of that one. Record and Union, I'm not sure where it's from. October 19th, 1877. So now we're looking for help wanted. We're looking for people that can help build this railroad. And they're contacting somebody back over in Kellogg. So I thought that was kind of interesting that the contact for this was in Kellogg. So I'll put that up next. Okay, so I have another one. I'm going to put up several, just so you know. Yeah, I'm going to put up another one. This is a timetable from April 23rd, 1879. So we know this railroad was up and running by 1879 because we have a timetable here. And I have a lot of people that, you know, watch my videos, and they follow me on my Mr. B's Hiawathaland group page. And one of the fellows is Tim Mack, and I want to say thank you, Tim Mack, for sending this to me on my page. This is a timetable that he sent to me. So thanks again. And this lists all of the towns that it's servicing. I thought that was just awesome. So here it is. Okay, here's another one. This is April 23rd, 1879. This is the Wabasha County Herald, and our railroad is completed. So that's pretty cool. So I'm going to put that one up for you. So I've got one last news clip to show you. This is pretty cool. This is a lawsuit that's happening in 1891, and this lawsuit is over the railroad because the Milwaukee Road already came through. Their station is on the other side of town, and the line went from here on the riverfront and crossed over their line and went on to out towards Zumbrota. So once the Milwaukee Road gets control of this, they want to close down this line. They want to abandon the line that comes out to the river from their depot. They figure they don't need this one anymore, and they want to get rid of it. And this is a lawsuit that talks about that, and apparently they won the lawsuit because this line stayed here. This line stayed here for quite a few years before it was abandoned after that. And it talks about the depot, the Midland Depot. So we know this is the Midland Depot just by reading this last article. So I'll put that up now. So once the railroad comes to be, it's advertising, it wants bonds and that sort of thing to help build the railroad, but it's getting in trouble financially in 1878. And, you know, I don't know all the people involved. I just ran across this fellow by accident because he's involved with the Duluth, Red Wing, and Southern, and I follow that railroad pretty heavy. And this is Lucius Frederick Hubbard. I know I've mentioned him before a little bit in Mazeppa when we were there. And that also is a depot that was built by the Minnesota Midland. In fact, I think every depot from Wabasha to Mazeppa, maybe even Zumbrota, was built by the Midland. That's going back to if you bought my company, but I built something while you own my company, who built it? My company or your company that owns my company? That's a brain teaser, isn't it? Yeah, anyway, Lucius Frederick Hubbard, okay? He joins the 5th Minnesota during the Civil War as a private. And in 1 year, he's a colonel. He works his way up to being a colonel. And in 1864, he comes out as a brevetted brigadier general. So he really went up the ranks. And then he dabbled in politics, and he was a state senator from 1871 to 1875. And then he sees that this railroad is in trouble, and he's a pretty well-off fellow. And he rallies all of these other businessmen that have some pretty deep pockets, and they come in and they buy the controlling shares of the Minnesota Midland, and now they can run with this thing. And by the end of '78, they have it up and running. It's going. And in '79, they make some kind of deal with the Milwaukee Road, and the Milwaukee Road leases the Minnesota Midland from that point. But it's already up and running. We've seen the timetables in the towns. So and we know that those depots were built. So I'm going to say that they're probably all Midland depots, Minnesota Midland depots, to Zumbrota. Now, from Zumbrota to Wanamingo, that's another story, because that comes in after the Milwaukee Road buys the railroad. So the Milwaukee Road leases it in 1879, and then they purchase the railroad. So when we get to 1901, and looking back, the railroad is already owned by the Milwaukee Road. They've folded it into their company, so it's no longer considered the Midland. It's now the Milwaukee Road, which would have been the Chicago, Milwaukee, and St. Paul at that time. But people are still talking about it as the Midland, so it starts to get kind of confused. But I'm going to put up something now that just talks a little bit about Wanamingo, because in 1903 is when they built the railroad from Zumbrota to Wanamingo. And in Wanamingo, they actually moved the whole town to be next to where the railroad was coming in. The railroad couldn't put their line through where the town was. So they actually bought land, and I'm going to put up an ad, and it's the Milwaukee Road selling land around Wanamingo where they're going to put this new town. And the old Wanamingo wound up being a ghost town, and then the new town popped up. And that was in 1903. So, we know about when Milwaukee Road bought the railroad and compared to leasing it and all of that. So I'll put that ad up so you can see that. So we're at Walnut Avenue and Lawrence Boulevard West. Okay, I'm going to put up the map that shows the route, and you can see the depot on the old plat map. And this is a picture of Big Joe's Flour, and this is a very early picture of his mill, because it gets a lot bigger than that through time now. Right about the end of this building, you're going to see a small building, and I believe that that is the depot right there. Okay, there's a bridge behind me. This one was probably taken, I don't know, must have been a pier or a boat out in that direction. And I have no boat, and there's no pier. So, I'm gonna say right about here is where this photo probably was taken from, a little bit further behind me, but the river's there, so we have to just do what we can. Okay, so this is the depot right there. That's what I believe. Right there. Okay, I have one last photo, and this kind of raises some questions. Okay, I want you to look at the white building. That's looks like it's in the same place as the depot. It's not the same shape. It looks like it's been turned, and now there's a hip roof instead of a gable. So I don't know. Something must have happened to the old depot. And then they built another building to use. I have no idea. But this is the same angle and everything, just about. So what happened to the depot now in this picture? This is a much later picture. So I don't know. Did the depot burn down? Did they build another storage building there? For some reason, did they turn the depot around a different direction because they needed to use it for something else? But then why does it have a different roof on it? And even the roof in this picture looks old. So then did something happen to the depot and they moved another building over there? Got a lot of questions on that one. If you know some answers, put them in the comments. I'm gonna walk down and see if I can find anything here along this route where it starts to go through town. If I find something, you'll see it too. So I'm walking down the street now, the other direction. And this is the street, I think the railroad was here. So that building, so Joe's Flower, I think was just a little bit set back from where it's at. But we get the idea from taking the pictures and matching them up. I'm gonna walk down a little bit further the other way. So I'm walking down the road, that's where the depot was, down there. And road's curving now and going to the left, but I don't believe this is the railroad anymore. I think the railroad started to make its curve somewhere where under this building is. This isn't a real old building here. I think this is just something fairly new, made to look old. And I think the railroad started to curve and probably went right in through there. And we'll see if we can go to the other side and see if we can see it from there. So I'm coming up to something that's called The Point. There's a place here called Slippery's. So I stopped at this Slippery's. Gotta eat something, burger and fries. And I'm sitting at the bar and look at this. See what I see? Pretty cool, eh? There's another one. Okay, that was good. Mushroom and Swiss burger, I love those things. First time I ate here. It's really good though. Good service. Okay, we gotta get back on this railroad bed. Heading off that way. Okay, so I'm on the path. I turned around, so when it's making the turn, it's probably going through the building there with the solar panels on the roof. All right. It's making its bend right in there somewhere. I like tracking this stuff. And there's a kiosk here. Wabasha's first industrial park. So I'll let you take a read on that if you'd like. I'll move the camera slow. A couple of old pictures there. I don't see too much in that picture there. I don't know if we can see the depot in that. Always look at the other side of a kiosk. Okay, here it's talking about the railroad. Yep, so we're back to 1876. See that? This is pretty cool. Now this one says taken over in 1883 by the Milwaukee Road as it was converted to standard gauge. So that could be when they folded it into their company. Because we already know in 1879 they leased it. And you can stop and read this anytime you want. There you go, there's some railroad action in that photo. Courtesy of, yeah, gotta include that, right? It's an awesome town, I'll tell you that. Okay, we're going to head down to a railroad bed. It's a trail now, a bike trail. I don't know what it's called. If someone knows the name of this trail now, put it in the comments. There you go. That's living the life, hey? So we're coming from that way. There's our campground we just passed. I'd camp there. Isn't that a pretty setting? Look at that. Got a view of the bluffs in the background. It's an awesome view. Some kind of a bridge up here. So naturally, this is a pedestrian bridge. You know, not a railroad bridge, but I think it's in the exact spot as the railroad bridge was. I don't have any pictures of it from back in the day. And I thought maybe I'd find a piling or something, but they did a good job of erasing everything that was here, except for the banks, of course. So if you have a picture of the railroad bridge that was here back in the day, put it up on my Mr. B's Hiawathaland Rails group page. I sure would like to see it. So that's the direction I'm coming from. It's the road here, 4th Street West and Shields Avenue, just off of the rail bed. And then there's a cut here. You can see that. I'm sure something's been done to it since the railroad days, but definitely had to be a cut here. Because you can tell, just look at the bed going here, and then it kind of goes down. So this trail is leading us off of the rail bed now, but I see something on the other end, so I just have to walk down there now and see what I can see from there. Okay, I had to walk around it. Railroads don't do this. Yeah, that's the rail bed right there. And there's something. Thrift Collectibles, open. Huh. I may have to see what's in there. But I'm going to follow this through and see what happens. So this is kind of making a gradual curve now to the left, but you can see the ground on both sides. So we are going through somewhat of a small railroad cut. Well, I just crossed over another road, and I'm still in the railroad cut. Okay, coming from that direction, you can see this is starting to turn to the right. But I don't know if that's really it. I think it would have went out further. So now I have to walk down just to see if we can reconnect or what's going on. But to this point, I think we were all on the railroad bed. See, I don't think this lines up correctly. Maybe it could be. But look at this outside edge. That could go across the street and connect. So, you know, second thought is maybe I'm in the right spot. I don't know. We'll have to see. Okay, this says Posers 24-hour towing and recovery. There's 3 tracks here crossing the road. There's that path that we came down. We've been walking it since we were at the depot. And right in this area for sure is where these tracks joined and crossed the old Milwaukee Road tracks. Now, where they went from here going out of town, I'm real fuzzy on. So if someone knows, I sure would like to know myself so I can follow it. Well, I'm on my way back now. Sometimes I forget I get so far. I walked all the way across town. Why didn't one of you guys stop me? Yeah, I didn't realize I walked that far. Anyway, I made it. I made it to Wabasha and the Minnesota Midland. Yeah, I know some of you guys were asking me when. Well, I did it. I'm going to follow it further. We'll go to some other towns too. You know how I like to skip around a little bit though. So, hey, I'm coming up to 1,000 subscribers on my YouTube page. I'm only a few away. If you like this video, do me a favor and subscribe. Sure would be nice to hit that 1,000 mark. And hey, stop by my Mr. B's Hiawathaland Rails group page on Facebook. Yeah, where we discuss a lot of the things that we find along the way. Yeah, a lot of people put up pictures, share stories. You can have a lot of fun there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. And I am now to the point where I am going to check out that antique store. That's right. So, God bless you all. Catch you on my next one. Stay safe.